I still hear occasional references to, lived experience recovery organisations from, and I wouldn't call them exclusively medical, but predominantly medical professional organisations that will suggest that the collective body of that lived experience organisation don't know what they're doing. There is this.
Well, yes, I mean, clearly there would be some protectionism. I think, it's important not to be kind of conspiracy theorist about this.
Yes.
I mean, there is, medical people do have an enormous body of knowledge that's not actually normally accessible to people who aren't medically trained, and they kind of do understand some things, and but they again tend to, like many very trained up professionals, have that rather narrow purview. They have a model of things within that particular frame, and to understand that maybe actually there's another frame to look at things through. It's difficult for some people. I mean, the opposite is also true. I mean, you can't imagine more supportive people to recovery than someone like Griff Edwards, who was a doctor, a psychiatrist. He supported both AA and therapeutic communities.
No, of course, and one of the people we've done very early in this series, of course, is David McCartney, of course.
Yeah, I mean, lots of them. I mean, David, especially nowadays, but also, people like Max Glatt, who kind of set up the first kind of proper, effective alcohol units in the country. So the idea that doctors and psychologists and other professionals are somehow all blinkered and don't have the recovery vision, it's not true. But in some ways they need to see it and be introduced to it and to begin to understand it, or be part of it themselves. I mean, I think some people who are themselves in recovery and are doctors, do a lot of good in terms of helping people to understand this.
There's something in all of this about where you started, about when you were talking about that new directions and opening it up. I suppose, what we're talking about is just wanting more and more connectivity and or seamlessness between what at one point in time were very polarized worlds. So, you want a clinical and or recovery world for want of two better words, that are just much better next to each other, so the individual can wander from one to the other.